Well, I promised to do this, so let's see. Let's hope this works.
In Heat. Posted originally on the archive of our own at http://archivioforum.org/works/108588809. Rating. Explicit. Archive warning. No archive warnings apply. Category. FM. Fandom. Miraculous Ladybug. Relationship. Chat Noir Ladybug, Adrian Agreste Marinette Dupin Chang, Chat. Noir Marinette Dupin Chang. Character. Marinette Dupin Chang, Adrian Agreste, Ladybug Miraculous. Ladybug Chat Noir Miraculous Ladybug Alias Cesare, Nino Lahif. Papillon Hawk Moth, Gabriel Agreste, Tiki Miraculous Ladybug. Flag Miraculous Ladybug Noru Miraculous Ladybug Chloe. Bourgeois. Additional tags. Mating cycles in heat, pheromones, identity reveal, slow. Burn, romance, smut, NSFW, sexual tension, sexual frustration. Sexual exploration, sexual fantasy, masturbation, mutual masturbation. Wet dream, lust, intimacy, alternate universe, canon divergence. Feline tendencies, soulmates. Stats. Published, the 8th of May 2017 updated, the 4th of January 2021 chapters, 20. Words. 130,067. In Heat. By Erika Tsukiyomi. Summary. It's the 1-year anniversary of when Ladybug and Chat Noir received their powers, and Marinette learns from Tiki that it marks the beginning of the mating cycle, for the next 30 days, Ladybug and Chat Noir will be drawn to each other by powerful pheromones generated by their miraculouses. The more time they spend in each other's presence, the stronger the effects will become, until they risk being completely overcome with lust. And so, Ladybug and Chat Noir have little choice but to brace themselves for what is bound to be a month of intense sexual tension and frustration. But what they don't know is that they unknowingly cross paths almost every day, and so not even their kwamis can prepare them for how profoundly their heats will affect them. Will their partnership survive if they give in to temptation? And what will happen when Hawkmoth figures out what's going on? Notes. The legal age of consent in France is 15 years old. While this story is set almost exactly 1 year after the events of Origins, I've aged Marinette and Adrian up a couple of years from their canon ages. In this story, Marinette, Ladybug and Adrian, Chat Noir are 16 to 17 years old. Normally, I would age them up even more, 18 to 20 plus, for a story like this, but I didn't. Navigate up. In Heat.pdf. Find. In Heat. Posted originally on the arc. Want the plot to be affected by them having to prepare for university and such. See the end of the work for more notes. Last day of summer. Chapter summary. It's the last day of summer break, and Hawkmoth's latest supervillain, Summer Fi, is out to make sure that school never starts again. Just another mission for Ladybug and Chat Noir, except this time, Chat Noir puts his knowledge of popular anime to good use to help Ladybug capture the Akuma, and puts in a little extra effort to make sure one anxious middle schooler's first back to school is a little easier. Curious how Chat Noir pulled off his little scheme, Ladybug takes some extra time to hang out and chat and finds herself troubled by nagging feelings for her partner that have only started creeping up on her over the summer. For Chat Noir, it's just a bonus dose of Ladybug after this latest mission, and it seems a fitting prologue to the anniversary of the day they first met. Chapter notes. See the end of the chapter for notes. Chapter 1, Last Day of Summer. Thursday, August 31st. Marinette had never looked forward to the first day of a school year, and she was pretty sure she was in the majority. Did anyone look forward to the end of summer break? Even so, dreading the coming of September 1st so much that it caught Hawkmoth's attention and got you akumatized. This seemed a bit much. Now that I'm here, proclaimed the supervillain, calling herself Summer Fi, nobody ever has to go to school again. I'm going to make today the last day of summer break last forever. She looked to be a girl in middle school, with her long auburn hair tied back in a wild ponytail and decorated with a crown of flowers. She was dressed in an orange sundress decorated with fresh green leaves and miniature sunflowers, and she had wings like that of a fairy and was armed with a scepter wrapped in vines. She didn't seem to be carrying a grudge against anyone, nor did she seem resentful of society in general, and so she wasn't particularly aggressive, but she was under Hawkmoth's control, and so, sooner or later, she would be coming after Ladybug's and Chat Noir's miraculouses. Ladybug's lucky charm had turned out to be a red and black spotted replica of Chat Noir's ring, and she hadn't known what to do with it except put it on, but Chat Noir had taken a long, thoughtful look at it, and then taken off, seemingly inspired, and leaving Ladybug completely baffled. He was now across the street, perched on the edge of the school roof on all fours, like the cat he loved to be. Okay, but can you be more specific? Chat Noir called, addressing Summer Fi. Is today gonna last forever 'cause the sun will never go down? Or will today keep repeating without the date changing?
Alright, hold on. Hold on. Sorry, one sec. Still working out the kinks here, people. Sorry.
Why, do you have a preference? Summer Fi asked. Does it matter? Ladybug yelled, glaring at Chat Noir from her position. Why hadn't he let her in on his plan? Absolutely. He yelled back. He turned his head to address Summer Fi again. If you never let night come, you'll never have another sleepover. Or see the fireworks at midnight on Bastille Day. Or go on moonlit walks with your true love. Ladybug couldn't decide whether to be surprised or not that Chat Noir was the type to like moonlit walks with his significant other. She filed that intriguing detail away to think about later. Oh, well, don't worry about that. Summer Fi said cheerfully, waving a hand. Summer nights are nice, even if they aren't as fun as summer days, in my opinion. We'll all get an infinite number of days of summer to do whatever we want with. But is it gonna be like Groundhog Day? Chat Noir wanted to know. Is the same day gonna repeat over and over and over, with everyone doing exactly the same things every time? No, of course not. Summer Fi cried, pressing a hand to her heart in horror. What would be the point of that? No, it's just gonna be a beautiful summer day every day, with no more school. Ah, okay, glad we straightened that out, Chat Noir said, nodding in satisfaction. It sounds like, out of all the ways you could have planned this, you're doing it the way I would, too. Ah, thank you. Summer Fi said, beaming. You know, Chat Noir, you seem like a really nice guy. If you and Ladybug give me your miraculouses instead of starting a fight with me, I'd love to go on a. She couldn't see from here, but it sounded like Summer Fi was probably blushing. A moonlit walk with you. Is this for real? Ladybug marveled, slapping a palm to her forehead. Chat Noir straightened in surprise. Then he raised a hand to rub the back of his head. Gee, that's very, very flattering, mademoiselle. I must say, you're the first supervillain to Pay me such a glowing compliment. So, what do you say? Summer Fi asked excitedly. Ladybug resisted the urge to demand of Chat Noir where the hell he was going with this. He definitely seemed to have a strategy in mind, and she just hadn't caught on yet. He wasn't usually the one to direct the action, but not because he wasn't smart. She decided to just keep her eyes open and see where this went. Alas, a cat has much more pride than to let himself be wooed by sweet words, Chat Noir answered dramatically. But I'll tell you a secret. He gestured for Summer Fi to approach. Ladybug gaped at him. Is that how he expects to get the object with the Akuma in it? Seduce the supervillain. He's gonna make a fool of himself, although I will admit, I would be very impressed if it worked, also. A little weirded out, though. Just if there's a chance he could pull this off, I'd blow the whole
Urgh.
thing if I interfered. But maybe I can position myself to be back up if his plan doesn't work. Summer Fi appeared to be approaching Chat Noir, albeit hesitantly. Ladybug quietly jumped down from her perch and started making her way sneakily towards the school. She took the long way around the side of the building, and began climbing as quickly but quietly as she could. Easy does it. As she approached the edge of the roof, she could hear Summer Fi's voice, sounding strained and panicky. No, wait, please. If I can free him, he'll give me his miraculous. And he'll get us. Ladybugs. We won't even have to fight them. We'll all get what we want. Free him. He'll give you his miraculous. And mine. What is happening? She hoisted herself up to peek up over the edge. Summer Fi was on her knees, eyes screwed shut, gripping the sides of her head like she was suffering a migraine. Chat Noir was strangely sprawled out on his side right next to her, propped up on an elbow and supporting his head on a fist. He could have been lounging on the beach. Except he was eyeing Summer Fi with a look of mingled confusion and concern. She must talking to Hawk Mom. Is this our chance? Why is Chat Noir just lying there? Just then, Chat Noir caught sight of Ladybug, his eyes gleamed with confidence and he flashed his trademark smirk at her. In the same second, she returned the look. She knew that look. It said, "Victory's ours, my lady." With that, Chat Noir snatched the flower crown off Summer Fi's head and tossed it to Ladybug. She tossed it easily with one hand and used her teeth to tear it in two. No more making mischief for you, little Akuma. The Akuma emerged, and Ladybug dropped to ground and whipped out her yo-yo, capturing the black butterfly with practiced ease and purifying it. Bye-bye, little butterfly. With a cry of, "Miraculous Ladybug," she threw her lucky charm into the air, and a burst of magical ladybugs erupted into the sky, reversing the invisible spell of Summer Fi's that would have prevented September 1st from ever coming. She leapt back up onto the school roof where Chat Noir was talking to the girl who had been Summer Fi up until just a moment ago. Well, I'm glad I didn't do anything, she was murmuring, but it's already mid-afternoon, and tomorrow, I'm going back to school. I don't want to, she sounded close to tears. Ladybug wanted to sit with them and hear the girl's story. Maybe it would help make sure she didn't get akumatized again, but she needed to go. Her earrings beeped, reminding her that she had 4 minutes before she turned back into Marinette Dupan Chang. But I'd really love to know how Chat Noir's plan worked. And how did he know it was her? Flower crown that had the Akuma in it. I thought for sure it would be her scepter. Hey, Chat Noir, I gotta bug out, I'm about to detransform. But if you hang around, I'd, actually, like to hear how you pulled this thing off. Make sure she gets down safely, and I'll see you soon. Chat Noir's eyes lit up with excitement at her proposal. He gave her a two-finger salute and a jaunty grin. Leave it to me, my lady. I shall eagerly await your return. She nodded, leaping off the school rooftop and swinging her way over the Parisian cityscape. Chat Noir watched her go, then turned back to the young girl. What's your name? He asked kindly. Amy, she timidly replied. Amy, it suits you, since you seem to be quite the romantic type. He flashed her his encouraging Adrian-aggressed smile. Thanks. I guess so, she murmured. She blushed and smiled shyly. So, what is it about going back to school that's upsetting you? He asked. It must be pretty bad if. It caught Hawkmoth's attention. Amy took a deep breath and sighed sadly. Last year, these two girls in my class started picking on me. They point all the ways I'm not pretty enough to ever get a boyfriend, and they leave nasty messages in my locker and on my desk. They make every day miserable for me, so I've been dreading the first day back to school all month long. That sounds really rough. I'm sorry, Chat Noir smiled sympathetically and patted Amy's shoulder. I admit I've never been bullied at school myself, so I don't really know what it's like. But I'll say this, if no boys were interested in you because you weren't pretty enough for them, then they don't sound worth dating anyway. A real gentleman will love you because he thinks you're amazing inside and out, so don't feel like you have to settle for anything less, okay? Amy's cheeks glowed, and she smiled tremulously. You really think so? She asked shyly. I hope you're right. One more thing. Chat Noir added brightly. Do you have a smartphone? Yeah. Amy fidgeted until she had dug out her phone from her pants pocket. Why? Take a selfie with me. He chirped, scooting up next to her. The next time those girls give you a hard time, tell them Chat Noir's got your back, and show 'em our selfie to prove it. Really? Are you serious? Amy fumbled clumsily with her phone in her excitement. Yeah. Chat Noir leaned in as Amy readied her phone. Now smile like you just got a kitten. For your birthday. Amy laughed giddily, and snapped the picture. There we go. Chat Noir grinned as Amy beamed at the picture, then glanced back at him. I love it. Thank you, Chat Noir. She hugged her phone tight to her chest. I'll treasure it. Always. You're welcome. Chat Noir stood up and helped Amy to her feet. Let's get you back to solid ground, shall we, Tilda? After dropping down into a narrow alleyway to feed Tiki a cookie, Marinette transformed into Ladybug again and headed back to where she had left Chat Noir. Neither he nor the young girl were there any more, of course, but she knew, wherever Chat Noir was, he would see her up here, or she would see him nearby. Sure enough, she caught sight of him on top of a building to her left out of the corner of her eye. She turned and headed straight for him as soon as she caught his eye. As soon as she reached him, she gestured to him to sit next to her against a chimney so as to be less visible from the street below. She didn't want to risk attracting an admiring crowd when she just wanted a nice, quiet talk with her partner. They rarely had opportunities like this. I'm back, she announced, sitting down. So, how is she? The girl. She's fine. Chat Noir replied proudly. Apparently she's been being bullied a lot at school, so she was really dreading going back. I let her take a selfie with me so she could tell her bullies I've got her back. That's nice of you, Ladybug said, smiling. I just hope people don't start picking on her next. Because they're jealous she got a picture with you. Well, then, you and me will just have to pay her school a visit and tell those girls we're very disappointed in them. He responded, crossing his arms and giving a self-satisfied nod. We don't have much time to spare for personally checking up on Hawkmoth's victims. Ladybug pointed out, but you did good, Chaton. She stroked his head as if she were petting a cat. Thanks. He purred, letting himself nuzzle his head into her hand just a little bit. So, tell me what you were thinking with that seductive scheme of yours, she said. I'll admit I'm impressed that it worked, but it was awfully risky. And how did you know it was her flower crown? And not her scepter that had the Akuma in it? Well, I couldn't think what the scepter could have been if that was the object, Chat Noir said, but I just so happened to recognize what the flower crown was. See, there's this anime that really popular right now, about a magical girl with, like, the power to make plants grow really fast and strong, and she has to defeat this evil wizard who's plunged the world into an eternal winter. Ahem, Chat Noir. The flower crown. Heh, sorry. Anyway, she wears a flower crown exactly like the one Summerfy did, and you can buy replicas of it online and at conventions, but of course, the flowers are fake and not as pretty and realistic as real flowers would be. So, coupled with the theme of summer phase costume, I figured she was a big fan of the show, and had a replica flower crown that turned into the real thing when she was akumatized. Ladybug blinked at him for a moment, impressed with his impromptu detective work, and a little surprised but amused that he know a lot about anime. Wow, she muttered. But, what about that whole, come here and I'll tell you a secret scheme? Ah, that, well, he suddenly looked sheepish and scratched the back of his head. I figured she might be just young enough and into the show enough that, with the mindset of a supervillain, with magical powers rather than, you know, a normal girl, I could convince her that I had a spell on me and that, if she broke it, she could have our miraculouses because she, had earned my loyalty and affections. Ladybug narrowed her eyes at him. Loyalty and affections. Affections. That makes me feel, for some reason. Okay, you're gonna have to explain what you mean by that, she said, raising an eyebrow and smirking wryly at him. Chat Noir eyed her warily with the expression of a shamefaced dog that had been caught with his face in the garbage bin. Okay, so, keep in mind, I was totally just trying to play the part and lure her in. Now you just sound even shiftier, she cut in. Should I be worried? What? Worried? Nah, not at all. I just. Okay, so, what I told her was, a cat's affections can be won only if he's pampered the right way, and that if she, basically won over the cat and me, she could break the spell on my miraculous that prevented me from taking it off or disobeying you. And then I'd basically be her kitty, and I'd fight on her side. Ladybug had no idea how to feel about this heartstring-pulling scheme of his. She supposed it had been a simple matter of trying to trick the supervillain to get the object without even having to start a fight. But to sweet-talk the supervillain and what had she tried to do to earn his affections? Okay, she said slowly. So, sounds like she fell for it. Well, yeah, he answered hesitantly. She, scratched behind my ears. Ladybug felt her jaw clench and her brow furrow before she could even label the emotional response behind it. She took a breath and tried to instantly relax her face, but he had already been watching her for her reaction, and he saw it. Hey, Buganette, he murmured in a comforting voice. You don't have to feel jealous. Who said I was jealous? She yelped, trying for force her amused face back on. Do I look jealous? I meant, if you feel jealous, you don't have to. I assure you, I only pretended to enjoy it. Now, if it had been you, Buganette, he trailed off suggestively, but he was blushing and grinning bashfully. And, goddammit, was she blushing, now, too. He really needs to stop accidentally being cute. Sometime during the last month or so, just because school was out didn't mean Hawk Moth had been vacation. Ladybug had started to notice two things. First, Chat Noir seemed to have matured somewhat, in that he wasn't showing off as often in his attempts to impress her, and second, that she had started to catch herself reacting differently than usual to little things he did. She couldn't always brush off his jaunty banter and lame puns with smooth comebacks and banter of her own. Anymore. Sometimes she found herself stunned momentarily by a blinding grin, or a casual touch, or an offhand compliment, or a warm smile of raw adoration that, once, she caught him shooting when he thought her back was turned. It wasn't as if he hadn't known before that he could be as sincere as he could be playful, she just never thought she would see so much of it all at once. It made her think that, maybe, there was a lot more of that warmth under the surface. These days, she often found herself wanting to look for that warmth, to get to know that side of him even more. Also, it didn't help that he seemed to have gone through a growth spurt over the past couple of months. Ladybug. Ladybug jerked back to the present. Sorry. Kinda spaced out there, she said, grinning sheepishly. Okay, he said, still looking a little concerned. So, anyway, that's how that all happened. He crossed his arms and smiled. My favorite part was when you read my mind the way you do and finish the deal. Ladybug smiled. He was totally buttering her up, but it was nice to hear, anyway. Well, saving the day is what we do. We're a team, we know exactly how to work together. Flawlessly. Almost all the time, anyway. That we do, my lady. He said warmly. There he goes again, she thought. He could have said that with way too much enthusiasm like he usually does. But he had to say it like that. Yeah, she murmured. He just kept looking up at her, smiling, and she did her best to keep her own smile smooth, but she had no idea how he could hold her gaze like that without feeling as nervous and strange as she currently was. Was it normal to look someone in the eyes for seconds on end? Oh. Hey, I just realized. Chat Noir suddenly seemed excited